Hello and welcome back to Mark's Garden UK. I'm kneeling in front of the wildlife pond in the wildlife corner of my garden, and I'm about to do a big reveal on the Wildflower Meadow, which is these 2 boxes of seeds which I sowed exactly 4 months ago. And I promised you an update, and you're going to get the update in this video. But before I get started on that, I'm aware that the pond behind me is a bit of an optical illusion, so I'm just going to get up and walk around it, because it looks smaller than it is on screen. But if I walk around the back of it like this, you'll get to see just how big it is, and I'm quite proud of it because I've dug that by hand using a spade and a wheelbarrow. It's actually 6 meters across and it's over 1 meter deep in the middle. And this is a wildlife corner of my garden. It's dedicated to wildlife. It's the most remote part of the garden from the lane outside the house. It's got buddleias in it. There's a stick and twig pile underneath the buddleias, and then down here there's a log pile, and underneath the log pile there's a hibernaculum, which is a big underground cavity where insects, invertebrates and creatures can go and hibernate. I've left a patch of nettles there. There's a path all the way around the outside. There's some wonderful things going on in the pond, and you can see all that in lots of videos on my channel. And then to my right, off screen for you, is the Wildflower Meadow, which you're about to see. Now, just to give you some more background, when I sowed that Wildflower Meadow in April, it was bare earth, and I'll run some footage of what it looked like just 4 months ago. And that's what you do with these wildflower seeds. I bought 2 boxes. One is a pollinator and one is a wildflower mix, but they're largely the same. It's just a big range of wildflower seeds. You scatter them onto bare, impoverished, well-drained soil. It doesn't have to be enriched. In fact, this type of plant appreciates soil that's not been enriched, so it makes life quite a bit easier. And then you rake them in, and if it's on a slope, you give them a light watering. You don't want them all running off. And that's exactly what I did 4 months ago when I planted that Wildflower Meadow. I also, at the back, inserted 3 packets of sunflower seeds. I went for 3 different varieties, and I actually thought that these were all short ones, but as you're going to see in a minute, couldn't have been further from the truth, because one of them towers above me, but you'll see all that in a moment. Now, the benefit for me of the wildflower seeds and the wildflowers themselves is that they are absolutely stunning to look at. They attract pollinators in the summertime, but also if you leave them, as I will do, throughout the winter time, then they provide seeds, which is food for the birds. So lots of benefits from those. First time I've ever grown sunflowers. So I'm, as you'll see in a moment, really delighted with the results. And don't worry, you are going to get to see this in all its glory. What I did was I mixed both of these packets together in a trug and added some sand. And half of that matter in that trug I scattered around the bottom of my apple tree. So I've got 2 wildflower meadows for the price of 1. And the other half of it I scattered on the mound. So, do you want to see it? Let's go and have a look at it. I'm going to also perform a little exercise in a moment as well, but I'll show you the wildflower mound first. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and count the number of different flowers which I have got in my wildflower mound. I'm going to cut a little blossom off each one, lay them out on a tray, and we'll just see how much biodiversity we've got in the Wildflower Meadow. So, without further ado, let's go and have a look at it. I'm going to give you a wide shot first, really, so that you can get the scale of it. I'm 6 foot tall, so you can kind of see how big of an affair this is. But I'm also going to walk around the back, because one of the things I decided to do was have a little path at the back, which means that I can get access to behind the Wildflower Meadow and see it from above. And that also gives me a close-up view of these amazing sunflowers. And you can see it here now in front of me. It really is spectacular. And even though we're now in September, there's thousands of insects all over it, and I'll get some close-ups of those insects. These sunflowers have been a revelation to me. I mean, look how tall that one is. I can't reach the top of it. And I thought I'd bought short ones. That must be 9 foot already. And there are some shorter ones down here in the mix, some very pretty little ones down here. There, that's got a bee on it. And I will give you some close-ups of all these in a moment, don't worry. But just to give you an idea of the result, wildflower seeds are not expensive. You can get them off Amazon. I'll put the link for those 2 boxes in the description box below my video, but probably not the right time of year to buy them. I'm not sure. I do this in the springtime. The wonderful thing about this is, not only has it provided beauty, colour and scent throughout the summer, it's also provided nectar for so many pollinating insects, and those pollinating insects are so important to our food security. So that's what's wonderful. So it's really helping nature. The other thing that's good about it is these are going to die off and they're going to drop the seeds on the floor, and some of those seeds will survive and germinate next year, and we'll get a second flush throughout next year. But a lot of those seeds will become food for rodents throughout the winter, as will the seeds that I leave in place in the sunflower heads. So you've got a win-win-win there, really. And it's so easy to do. All I had here was a bare patch of earth. It was actually the spoil out of the wildlife pond, which I piled up. I bent over it with a rake, I scattered the seed, I raked it again, watered it, and I stepped back, and I've done nothing else since. And I will do nothing else. I will just let these die back naturally, fall to the floor, and as I've already said, they will produce seeds for next year's meadow, and they'll also provide some food and some shelter for invertebrates and birds throughout the winter time. And that really, to me, is encouraging so much biodiversity in my garden. That's what I want, really, because gardening is wonderful and it can be productive and it's a great hobby, but it's also about looking after the environment and the wildlife and the other creatures that we share the planet with. So there we go. Now, I'm going to take some pictures of some bees and some insects, some video of those enjoying this now as we stand here and speak, but I'm also now going to get my little scissors and collect up one of each of these blooms. Now you can see at the moment, it's kind of all yellow. Earlier in the year, it was all blue, and then it went through a kind of a pinky phase, and that's another thing that fascinates me about nature. Nature has evolved these little systems so that the white flowers come out when the insect that pollinates them is around, and then the yellow ones come out when the insect that pollinates them is around. And evolution provides all these little symbiotic relationships that work. And really the only risk to that is us upsetting it with our weed killers and one thing and another, but I won't get into that. Let's just enjoy some of these flowers, and then I shall do a quick head count on the different variety of species. I'll see you in a moment when I've cut one of these off each stem, and I've got a little collection. Well, isn't that wonderful? Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's probably about 17 different flowers there. And there were probably other flowers at other stages in the last 4 months, and I can't name all those flowers, and frankly I don't care about that. All the names of the flowers are on the back of the box, and they do have some strange and unusual names. For example, Saponaria soapwort, buckwheat, basil, Mirabilis 4 o'clock lily, Gypsophilia. There's all kinds of weird names there. Shrubby hare's ear, Calendula pot marigold, China aster. Loads of different flowers, and as I say, I don't care what the names of those are. I just know I love them, and they're amazing, and it was dead easy. And look at all the insects. Wonderful. I'll probably get another couple of months out of that if we have some nice weather, maybe even 3 months. 7 months of blossoms for me and the pollinators out of 2 relatively inexpensive packets of seeds. Hope you've enjoyed that. Join me again soon for some more wildlife garden adventures. Bye for now.